Okay, I'd like to also, at the request of Member Price, we do have a couple of board members who need to catch flights. She is one of them, so if it's okay with the rest of my colleagues, I'd like to go next, sorry Fred, to item number 8.1, the report of the Student Senate for the California Community Colleges.
Thank you, Mr. President. With me is Sonia Ortiz Mercado, who's Dean of Student Services and works with me to support the Student Senate. This item has been brought to you in response to a request made at your November meeting. There have been some recent issues and concerns related to the Student Senate that board members have asked us in the Chancellor's office to address and provide and on which to update you. So we are going to go quickly, recognizing your need to have lunch, and but we will certainly leave time for your questions and comments. The role of students in shared governance in the California community colleges is a matter of law at both the local and the state level. And the purpose of the Student Senate is to ensure a manner in which students throughout the state can have that voice in state-level shared governance. Your Title V regulations, as well as your standing orders, recognize the Student Senate as the voice of students in shared governance. And Title V emphasizes that you recognize the students in conjunction with local student organizations, so that the state organization is truly reflective of what's going on the campuses. We rely on the Student Senate to nominate students to serve on as many as 25 different advisory committees throughout the system, as well as by law they send nominations to the governor for his appointments of the student members of the board, and they also provide nominations for other external groups such as CPAC and the Student Aid Commission. There's a long history of student organizations attempting to fulfill this role. In October of 2005 was the birth of the Student Senate as we know it today, through a presidential summit in which we brought together the student body presidents from, I believe there were 94 colleges represented at the initial presidential summit. They spent the day looking at the issues confronting students and talking about how an organization could be modeled that would actually be able to represent students from throughout the state, be consistent in its role in shared governance, and stay focused on the issues of importance to students. They put a lot of emphasis on sustainability of the organization because by definition our students are only here for a short time. And so they nominated regional representatives who met for a full year to talk about how the organization might be structured, and they put a great deal of emphasis on bringing the discussions that happen at the state level back to every single college in the state through building regional structures. The regional representatives, in some cases, drove miles and miles and miles to reach out to every college that may have been disaffected by the prior organization to make sure that everyone was engaged in creating this new model. One component built into the model was the role of system partners to the Student Senate, including the Chancellor's Office, including the California Community Colleges Student Affairs Association, which is the campus advisors. It included the Chief Student Services Officers, and it included the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges, which took a very direct role in helping to model this organization. There are many similarities in the way it works to the way the Academic Senate itself works. And I want to recognize Julie Adams, Executive Director of the Academic Senate, who's given many years and many volunteer hours until very recently to creating and supporting this organization. So for several years, we saw the organization mature. Every council built upon the work of the prior councils. They developed a constitution and bylaws and operating procedures. And every year, they hold 2 general assemblies for students from throughout the state. And at every general assembly, the students were pleased with what was going on, were supportive of the organization, spoke very positively. They took time to debate resolutions. They adopted positions that represent students from throughout the state on many of the important issues before community colleges today. And so we were on a very smooth path to growth and maturation of the organization. In the beginning last year, I would say, and it's emerged as a more public concern this year, has been some infighting, some difficulties within the organization to stay focused on the key issues facing the students of California. And so those were voiced at the last General Assembly and were brought to your attention at the last meeting. So we've taken a serious look at what the current issues are and have already begun to take some steps to address those, working very closely with the Student Senate council officers and the body. But I just want to very briefly, we delineated the issues in your agenda item, and then I'm going to let Sonia talk about what steps we've taken to address these. But concerns have been raised about student eligibility, whether students are in fact enrolled as they are required to be enrolled in a community college. And some of the discussion has not so much been strictly on technical eligibility, but many students who have left the community college system continue to want to be involved in the Student Senate, and which, is a sign of the how highly regarded the organization is, but it can perhaps lead to a lack of integral ties between the Student Senate and the campus organizations. There have been issues around funding for the organization. The Chancellor's office is committed to making sure that the students can meet and can participate in state-level shared governance. We do not guarantee as much funding today as we did 5 years ago because of the budget cuts that we have all undergone, and yet we still ensure that the meetings can occur. The Student Senate has sought, and we have supported them in seeking independent funding or a dedicated funding stream for the Student Senate. We have probably issued budget requests that you have supported for I'd say 7 of the last 10 years, and have not succeeded in getting that
Vice Chancellor,
funded. Yes.
Chancellor, if I could ask you to move it along a little bit.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think some of these issues have been part of the reason for some conflict on the Student Senate, and at times the role of the Chancellor's office and the other state partners to the Student Senate has been challenged. So those are the circumstances that we faced, and to address those, we've taken some very specific steps and outlined some others. And I'll let Sonia address that.
Thank you. So I'll highlight some of the significant actions that we've taken or recommendations that we are pursuing to address some of the conflict that we're finding on the Student Senate to help the students, to help support the students' organization and their ability to be able to focus in the role of shared governance and to engage in the very serious policy discussions that are happening in our state today. One of the things that one of the actions that we've taken at the Chancellor's office is to hire a staff person whose position is dedicated half-time to supporting the Student Senate and acting and fulfilling the role of liaison to the organization. To address the issue of eligibility verification of the student members, we have revised the student eligibility form so that the students could disclose their eligibility or lack of eligibility to the student council, so that to the student senate, so that the student senate could then take action if students fail to meet the minimal enrollment requirements of just 5 units per term. We also outlined, we articulated a clear process for the eligibility process, and we invited student input so that they would have an opportunity to comment on the process. We wanted to make sure that it was well articulated and consistent and fair. With the approval and review of the executive council members last week, we went forward to the Student Senate and presented the eligibility review process. And I'm happy to say that at least 90% of the Student Senate members signed and approved the eligibility form and process as outlined. At the recommendation of the board members in November, we hired a parliamentarian, and I want to acknowledge the foundation's support in our ability to be able to make that happen. The parliamentarian's assistance, their guidance, the guidance that he was able to provide to help the students really focus on their agenda, to move through their agenda in a timely manner, and to not get hung up in all the parliamentary procedure rules was of huge value. And based on that, we went ahead and have been able to execute a contract for the remainder of the year and for a leadership summit that we plan to convene over the summertime. So we think that's a very positive move forward. One of the interesting things is while the Chancellor's Office has continued to provide support and has been very committed to supporting the Student Senate and provided financial support, we've never had an MOU that has clearly articulated our roles, expectations, and requirements. And so that is something that we plan to move forward with as well. One of the things we think that will help the student leaders, so if we take a student development approach to the Student Senate, we thought that one of the things that we could also do at the beginning of their year in July, as we orient the new members, is to provide more of a leadership summit. Again, helping them focus and on their role in shared governments, providing them the skills and tools to be able to do that. Some of the topics would include not only parliamentary procedure, goal setting, an understanding of the policy issues that we're facing in the state and the demographics of the students that they are serving throughout California. Lastly, one of the other options that we are considering to help better clarify our office's role in being able to help support and provide accountability to the Student Senate is possibly expanding Title V regulations. Currently in Title V, the board recognizes the Student Senate as a representative voice for California community college students, and but there are no eligibility requirements other than what's in the Ed Code for general student organizations, nor any requirements by the board that the students complete forms and support our office's role in being able to verify student eligibility. Another option that we are considering pursuing is perhaps proposing language for the standing orders for the board that would expand on the Student Senate's role in shared governance.
Right, that would clarify.
Clarify.
That would clarify your interest in the Student Senate and our role in representing that. We're very pleased with the decision of the board to look at creating a Student Affairs Committee that would be able to engage more directly with the Student Senate, and look forward to that conversation with the board. I want to. It's up to you, Mr. President, but I wanted to give Student Senate President Alex Pater an opportunity to make some comments. We can do that before or after comments from the board, as you like.
Member Price, did you want to make some comments?
No comments. I think it was clear with Vice Chancellor McElhaugh presented.
Very good. Mr. Pater, would you like to make a quick comment?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
As many of you already know, the Senate has had many challenges throughout the year, and as leaders across the state, I think you understand that leadership is not always an easy thing in working with others and pulling others together that have conflicting ideas in a diverse organization that represents approximately 2.9 million students. It's hard to always have everyone have the same view and perspectives on things, and as community college students, we don't always have for lack of a better word, maturity of how to interact with each other on a professional level, or ways that may or may not have adverse reactions to the long-term success of the Senate. I'm very committed to solidarity and unity of this organization at this point, and have tried to do that. Some of those things I'd like to bring forward is opening up our committees. We have approximately 11 committees and several other task force and work groups that currently are we only have, our students on our council only have so many hours to devote, and most of our students are also all type A personalities that are in gym, choir, they're in bands, they're on honor societies, sports. And by opening these committees up that often are unable to fully perform the tasks as they are, I'd like to open those up to our local student members. Each of the colleges has a single college delegate that represents to the body, and generally their responsibilities primarily only happen at the General Assembly once each semester. By allowing those local students to sit on our internal committees, they will have an opportunity to not only have a direct influence on what happens on the council as far as our policy and positions that we take, but will also provide the opportunity to provide leadership training so that they can have a better understanding of how the Senate works in relation to other organizations, other local senates, and then within, of course, the Board of Governors. Very supportive of trying to increase training at all levels. We've had several trainings at our council meetings, and very committed to having a leadership summit in the summer for incoming council members, and also perhaps having orientations for as students come in and out of the Senate in the middle of the year. It's important that we have a training for them, or at least an orientation, so that they know so that they have an idea of how everything works. We're very supportive of the eligibility process. I was very happy that at least 90% of the students were very supportive of the eligibility process, and I'm committed to trying to get those other few students that still have some issues to get them on board, or encourage them to move on. And then also at the last General Assembly, the local students made a very clear indication that they wanted the student senate to have unity, solidarity, and to really get back on track and focus on the core principles and values of our mission. And I also believe that the Senate is also committed to this, based off of what happened.
If you could wrap up.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Peter.
Essentially, the Senate is supportive and committed to maintaining solidarity and unity with the best interest of local students and students that are not necessarily in student governments, as students in general, and then also maintaining unity and solidarity for the benefit for the system as a whole. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. I very much appreciate the staff work on this, and I think this board looks forward to monitoring this a little more closely through Member Price and the possibility of a forthcoming Student Affairs Committee. I believe we have two speakers who would like to address the board on this. Vice President.
Jane Patton from the Academic Senate.
Thank you.
And then Rachel Richards, the Treasurer from Student Senate.
President Himmelstein, Chancellor Scott, and board members, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. If I may say, thank you to the Chancellor's Office for addressing the issues identified in the report that was just given. As you're aware, students are transient, which leads to many challenges in the student government. That has happened past and present. As an at-large senator and treasurer seeking donations to support our advocacy efforts, a census has been established confirming the confidence in the Student Senate, which seems to be approximately 90% currently. In the Student Senate, we are working to keep funding within local control, the consensus, what I've noticed is that our local senates want to keep the money within their control. And with that said, as treasurer, I've been able to identify a mechanism to track and report local requests for stipulated donations, which you'll see in the packet report that I provided to you, and the position from Region 3, as well as a unity letter sent out by Alex and myself to show that we are committed to student success. We do need some assistance. As you know, starving the students financially tends to create some fighting. You get that wolf pack attitude going on. We do have students who wish to do more advocacy work. The funds provided by this board allows us to focus on shared governance, but it doesn't give us those extra funds in order to advocate. And with the budget that was just released as proposed by Governor Brown, we have a lot of work ahead of ourselves, and we need funding in order to advocate on behalf of the 2.758 million students currently. So I have provided you, I've taken this opportunity to provide you a detailed report that I've been able to frame out. I provided the last page, the stipulated donation requests that our local colleges are requesting in order to make sure that the funds are allocated that they provide to us at the state level. But I will ask you, please, if you can consider assisting us. You'll note that there's a donation type list there that shows where our monies have been coming from as far as contributions. If you notice there that one year we received a grant by the assistance of a Board of Governors member. So I will ask you if you will assist us, and we need to find someone who will help us write a grant proposal or find grants in order to do the advocacy work that we so dearly need to do in order to protect higher education. But I also wanted to let you know, with this stated, we're reaching out to our local colleges. We're asking them to bring in some donations. We're connecting the local colleges with the state level organization by taking these measures. And Alex and I are dedicated to student success of this organization, and we want to make sure that you understand that we may not have been sitting next to each other out there, but that's because seating was limited. Thank you.
Thank you again for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me ask the board's pleasure, would you like we've got a couple items to go. Would you like a 5-minute break, or are we going to move through it? Okay, very good. Next item up, Mr. Harris, sorry for the delay.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Federico Harris. And here on item number 7.4 to present to you another string. This is another first reading. This is a first reading of the annual capital outlay plan for 2012-2013 for your consideration. In this plan, we have 86 projects totaling with initial appropriations of $430.5 million, all to come from a proposed, hopefully proposed, and to be enacted 2012 bond. Bottom line, this is appendix number D for your consideration, is what you would be acting on in March. This is a plan that we want to get out there, and as the advocacy efforts ramp up within the legislature, so at least there are elements within the legislature that are wanting to pursue a bond. It hasn't been part of the governor's bond budget package yet. But we still need to plan, and we have awesome needs. We have $35.8 billion worth of needs over the next 10 years based on our annual 5-year system-wide plan. This is just a drop in that particular bucket, but it's a purposeful drop. It's the projects that we have before us in 2012 and have received for actually, it's just for 2012-13, but the 2-year bond would be for 12-13 and 13-14. Bottom line is our pipeline for projects, and we usually have a pretty well, the term I heard earlier, contextualized pipeline, multi-years where there are different layers of project in different phases. That pipeline is fully collapsed without a state bond for the last 2 periods, and this plan, to be clear, is dependent on state bond, and we have it before you for consideration. It's a worthwhile plan, and seek your support, especially in March. But this is information only now.
Member Thomas.
Yes, thank you for all of your hard work, and it does look like a good plan. I do want to voice my concern that if it were to happen, once again, my concern that current and future funding levels that we're seeing, if this were to pass, again, will result in us having new and modern facilities, but insufficient staff to fill them and maintain them. So.
Well, Member Thomas, you've been very consistent in expressing that concern.
Yes.
I would put forward to you that these particular projects for 12-13 will not come online probably for 5 to 8 years. So based on, I'll take a page out of the governor's playbook that why he's only asking for tax increases for 5 years. Our hope is that the economy will recover by then and that the resources will be there as planned for to appropriately operate those buildings. But bottom line is we have the need for the facilities. This is not anywhere near meeting that need. And, you know, it's something that has been thought through. Again, we've missed 2 other opportunities for bonds, and a lot of these projects have been pending.
Any other board members wishing to speak? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 7.5, another first reading, Executive Vice Chancellor Bruckman.
Thank you. These are revisions to the Equal Employment Opportunity Regulations. They are a significant set of changes, but I feel pretty comfortable saying they're not controversial. There has been a great deal of discussion over the past couple of years. The human resources officers at the districts worked very hard on this. Our Equal Employment Opportunity and Diversity Committee considered it. It's been well vetted. Consultation Council was fully in support. So in light of the lateness of the time, I would just direct you to the staff report, which I feel is pretty comprehensive, and I would be happy to answer questions unless you would like me to provide more explanation.
Members, any questions or comments? Very good. Thank you.
Before I leave,
this comes back when?
Next meeting.
Next meeting.
But
Okay.
and I just did quickly want to mention that in this board meeting, we did have 4 sets of regulations. A great deal of work goes into preparing those regulations, and I wanted to provide my kudos to the legal staff who have kept us all in line, Michelle Goldberg, Jonathan Lee, and Francesco Ritano.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you to you, too. All right, we are at board member reports. Member Malumed,
I have nothing to report.
Member Baca.
I just want to thank President Himmelstein for appointing me to this Student Success Task Force, and I'm very much looking forward to working with Member McDougall, who I think will do a fantastic job in leading that group. So I have some other comments, but I'll leave them for another time.
Member Thomas.
Yes, I attended in November with the many board members the CCLC annual conference, and specifically I wanted to thank the league for their hospitality and also to acknowledge board members McDonald and Baca on the veterans session that they did was absolutely fantastic, very moving and well done. I also attended the reception honoring Jose Millon's retirement, and I've, during this time, met with the Yuba Community College Foundation Director, based on conversations with Member Perez and Davis Lyman, and their intent to do that with Los Rios. I also met with Yuba Foundation Director to just find out where that district was on the OSHER and what the plans were, and if there was anything I could do to help support that, and discuss the Hands Across California and the efforts in that area. The other thing that I wanted to alert board members to, and also to those that are in the audience or that are listening, I have been working with in Jerry Griffin on the Community College Classified Employee of the Year Awards. That will be rolled out. Once again, this would be the 3rd annual for us to give those awards. And Jerry tells me that the website with the information and the application and all of that will be rolled out by the end of this week. The deadline for application is March 15th. So I really would encourage anyone involved. Once again, the nominations person can nominate themselves, or you can nominate someone else, and I really encourage involvement, and I'll be working with the various classified organizations to help promote that. So thank you.
Thank you. Member Davis Lyman.
I would like to, as your representative to CPEC, talk about one thing briefly
Please.
that CPEC, that we considered at the December meeting. There was a lovely tribute to our Vice President, Alice Perez, well-deserved and wonderful. But the one area is that CPEC has a commission and work plan on student success that's just ramping up. And in order that we not duplicate efforts and work complementary together and be able to support each other with research that they're doing in student success, I would hope that there's some way that there is a connection, some kind of connection, a liaison maybe from CPEC on our committee or vice versa. And so I would just alert us to that I think would be an important step. These two commissions and committees are starting about the same time with some of the same emphasis, and to strengthen that process for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Reed? Vice President Perez? Member Baum?
Just really briefly, in the spirit of celebrating the accomplishments and the good news, I attended the graduation ceremony last Thursday of a program that Goldman Sachs has funded and launched at LA City College and Long Beach City College to provide education opportunities for small business people in their respective communities. And they're hoping, and they're doing this in partnership with the community colleges. Goldman Sachs and Warren Buffett have committed up to $500 million for this national initiative, and I want to make sure that California continues to be at the forefront of this type of partnership with business. And so if we have an opportunity to recognize that or learn more about that, I understand they hope to go to the Bay Area next, so wanted to.
Well, maybe you can direct them south.
Yeah, and San Diego, I think. They've started New York. The next is Southern California or Los Angeles area, and then they're going to New Orleans. But then we're hoping to encourage them to roll it out in a broader way throughout California.
Member McDougall? Member Barreras?
Just very quickly, I just want to say that it's been a great meeting. I really appreciate staff for the hard work that they do. I recognize that, and also everyone who came before us, all the speakers with their testimony, as we deal with this very important issues that we are facing now. And I look forward to March and continuing our great discussions.
Member Haley?
Just briefly, I just want to congratulate both Manuel and Bobby for the wonderful presentation at the Veterans CCLC. It was outstanding. It was wonderful to see you all working so hard at it, and it was an exceptional 8 o'clock morning.
Yes, it was. Member Price? Member McDonald?
Okay, 3 B's, be brief, Bobby. Okay, I'll make that happen. Keep at lunch. I'll pass out the little books so everyone can see that the pictures and stuff that came from the veterans event. We put it to pictures, and I'll show that to you at the lunch break. I want to also say I want to thank everyone that attended the veterans program, the students, the faculty, the chancellor. The other chancellors from the other different districts and presidents that came. It was a pretty nice event, and I'm glad that we were talking about positive things. We were the hit of the league, so it was great. And then, of course, Sarah Manzano for coming, and the people back in Washington, D.C., and it may happen again. Yeah. So I wanted to say thank you to that. I want to just briefly let you know that we are in the process, and we're going to have a meeting this afternoon on the Veterans Summit that we're looking at putting together in September. So we'll come back with you with more information on that. And then, other than that, I just want to say I'm very, very proud of our group, and especially with our new board president, vice president, and chancellor for the things we're doing. We're going to get the exposure we need, and this is going to be our year.
Good. Thank you. I'd just like to thank all the board members for a really good retreat on Sunday. It was a good opportunity for us to set a direction. I want to thank Member McDougall for agreeing to chair this all-important task force, and Member Baca for also agreeing to be a part of it. They're giving up quite a number of days over the next year, so it's much, much appreciated. I also want to wish our chancellor the best going forward from here in what's going to be an arduous task. in dealing with the budget, and just reaffirm to him all of our commitment. We will be where we need to be when you need us, and I think all of us individually will take some great efforts, not only where we live, but as important up here in Sacramento. And I want to thank everybody in the audience for their participation, their opinions, their thoughtfulness, and input to this board. Meeting adjourned.